Hello everybody, my name is Khaled Siddiqui, and in this video we are going to repair a ClearCom HelixNet main station 4X, which is one of these guys. ClearCom main station 4X. This is exactly HMS-4X. The problem with these is that toroid ground shield falls and rattles inside, and if this is connected to power, it will obviously short circuit everything else, causing major issues and problems inside the unit. Now, since right now this is unplugged, I'm going to show you what I mean. You think like there are pliers and screwdrivers and a whole bunch of stuff moving inside? No, it's just the toroid, which is a form of transformer, metallic ground shield, which kind of shields the toroid from interfering or generating RF radio frequency or other electromagnetic waves interfering with our other components. And this is how we do it. Let's get started. So the first thing we need to do is we need to open all these screws. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We don't open these screws because these screws are holding the railings inside for these guys, which obviously will need to be removed as well. These are the add-ons such as additional channels or networking or what have you. So we have to remove these and then unscrew everything else. Okay, so let's get started and removing these guys. All right, so we need a Phillips screwdriver for most of these, unless I see anything else. I guess the Phillips screwdriver will be the only item we need. You need to have the clutch settings a little higher. Okay, so they have a little handle. You just pull them out, like slide them out like this, and you slide the second one like this. You set these aside somewhere safe. Alright, now we will start to unscrew all the screws from the exterior parameter, not the internal one, because those are the railings. Okay, exterior parameter only. So let's start from here. Okay, now let's see. We go here. Make sure not to lose these screws because they're very special screws. You don't find these. They're Phillips cone-shaped screws. So when all the exterior parameters are removed, this will simply come off. And this is why we didn't have to remove these, because these are the railings. Alright, so let's see what we have here. And just as I predicted, these are falling. And they are the ones that are making the noise. Now question is, where do they go? They go right here, on top of these. Let me zoom in so you can see better. So to be exact, this is where those toroids are, and these are the covers for these toroids, kind of like noise filter, if you will, and that's where we're gonna put it. And just so you could see exactly, I'm going to zoom in. This is the the back of the unit right here. And these are the coaxial inputs and outputs, and these are the toroids from which this came off. Now if ClearCom is watching this, you guys need to solder these much better, because these, if they're soldered correctly, they shouldn't even come loose. But I see barely traces of solder right here, barely any traces of solder, so that's why these came loose. And now we're going to solder these. In order to solder these, we need to remove the motherboard. And to remove the motherboard, we have to unplug all the wires. And when you're doing this, before you touch the board or anything, you have to be grounded. Your body have to be, your wrist has to be grounded, or foot, rest of your leg or your foot has to be grounded, so that you don't destroy it using from the static electricity in your body. Okay, so now we will unplug each cable. We will start to unplug here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have to unplug 8 of these cables. Once those 8 cables are unplugged, we have to unscrew these. Let's see which one is easier. I believe it's easier to unscrew only these 3, so the whole panel comes out together with the back connectors. Otherwise, we have to unscrew all of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's much easier to do these, so that's what we will do. But first, we have to unplug the wires. Let's get started from this wire right here. So this wire, as you can see, is behind the back panel, right by the power supply. These are the fan wires, and they need to come out. So we unplug the fan wires. Okay. Second, we have to unplug the power supplies. This has 2 power supplies. The unit has like a primary power supply and a backup power supply. The reason they have 2 power supplies is that if one fails, the other one will provide power without any kind of like gap, or without any delay in between. So we unplug these, 1 and 2. So we unplug the power supplies, we unplug the fans so far. Okay. Now this one is a speaker. We have to unplug the speaker. And right here, let me put this side so you could see. Right here we have the front panel microphone input, unplug. And then we have the front panel RCA input, coaxial input. And we have some other smaller inputs, this guy we have to unplug. And we unplug this one. Now luckily all these cables are polarized, so you are not going to be in trouble by plugging them in the wrong polarity. Now here I'm going to show you something very critical. Let me zoom in all the way. At the front panel, if you notice where we have this plug in the blue plug for the microphone, there's a little flat ribbon cable. I'm talking about this guy right here, this flat ribbon cable. This also needs to be unplugged, but this is extremely critical. If you unplug it, force it, it can break. So this is how it is being unplugged. You lift this thing up, this brown latch, you lift it up. Let me do it with my nail. It's very critical. Okay, so I had to really put my nail underneath it and lift it. But you also have to be very careful, because that can break. The actual little connector, this guy right here, this guy is extremely fragile. It can break. So this, when it's in up position, it releases the cable. When it's down, it locks the cable. Now we will help the cable come out like that. So the cable is loose. Okay. Now we switch back to the zoom out top camera and open all these screws. we have a lot of screws to open, a lot of screws. So let's get started with opening the screws. These screws are different. Let's see. Let me see if I can get another angle. Do not lose these screws because they're very unique screws and you will not be able to find exact replacements if you do that. Let's see. Okay, let's zoom in a little bit so you can see what I'm opening here. This is for micro SD. Make sure you don't damage that. That's very, very fragile. Very fragile. There's a lot of these screws. I'm gonna count at the end so you see how many, but there's a lot. Okay, it looks like we opened all the screws, and now it's time for us to open the screws that are holding this bracket. This let me go to the top. This entire bracket is attached to the motherboard, so we have to separate this bracket from the base. Okay, for that we have to open. At the bottom there are screws that we need to open. 1, 2, 3. After you open this, there's one more right here on the side by the fans, which you need to open, these two. Okay, so, oh no, I'm sorry, the other end, not by the fans. This guy, right here, you have to open, not the one by the fans. This one is a little stubborn. Let's see where I can. Okay, so I put a little bit of machine oil. This is machine oil, and let me see if now it opens. And there it is. Very easily opened one after I put the machine oil. Okay, so now the board should come out. The board is. Oh, there are two more screws, two more wires that we need to disconnect. That's the power input wire to the transformers. I mean power supplies. These guys. This we need to remove. Now I see one more. When you're removing this board, be careful because this is hitting that. So I see that the ground wire. There's a ground wire right here, as you can see there. That needs to be open. For that, let's see what kind of tool I need. Okay. I don't have the right size, so I'm going to use a plier. And there it is. Very simple to open with a plier. Let me show you exactly which wire is it that I'm opening. It's very hard to do this job without blocking the camera. So I'm trying my best, but I apologize if some scenes are being blocked with my hands or with my tools. Okay. Let's see. So there is the board. It's completely disengaged. The board is completely disengaged. We need to make the board upside down in order to do our solderings. Alright. So let's first do the first one. Which camera should I use? Let me see. I guess this one or this one. Let me see. Okay, so we are soldering these on top of these two guys, like that. That's what we are soldering. In order to do that, we have to have access to the back of these, and we have to flip this. So let's flip this guy. Now it's flipped, and this 1, 2, 3, 4, or let me go here so you can see. 1, 2, 3, and 4. These are the ones that need to be, the solderings need to be refreshed. So I'm going to use a little bit of paste, which is very important. And we're going to put the soldering iron at 750 to 800 degrees, because this is a ground wire, and the ground wire is usually the actual point is attached to the entire ground surface, and the heat will dissipate very quickly. The heat will transfer very quickly, so we need to kind of apply more heat in order to preserve and have concentrated heat on the points that we need to solder. So let me increase the temperature. Okay, so now my temperature is 765 degrees. Okay, the first one is done. The second one. And the second one is also done. Now we will flip this board, and we will hold it from here to see how sturdy and strong it is. See, we are holding the entire board. They're very nice and sturdy. Now it's time to put it back in the housing. So we'll bring the housing. And we go very, very gentle. Very gentle. See, you have to come like from an angle, because you have to allow this side to enter first. Let me put this one back like this. So kind of you have to like wiggle it around, see which way it fits perfectly without applying too much pressure to the board, because the board is extremely fragile. Okay, so now that we have it sitting, we will put the screws back. I'm gonna put the stubborn screw first, just like I removed that one last. Do not tie it all the way, because this has to move for other areas to kind of align. In order for all the screws to align, once everything is aligned, then you can easily tie the ones. So we have 3 screws here. You're gonna put the 3 screws. The clutch has to be on level 2. You cannot have the clutch at higher levels. Very good. Now we put the black screws that are holding the entire motherboard together. You can now plug in the cables as well if you wish to, these wires and whatnot, so that they are out of the way. Let me put back the ground cable. Let's see if we can get a better shot at the ground cable. Let me see. So we will put the ground nut. You see that needle, how I'm holding that needle there? That's so that when I turn this, the nut doesn't come off. And there it is. Now the nut is in there. Now I'm going to use these pliers because I don't have the right size socket for that nut. I'm using pliers, but the best way to do this is to use the exact size socket. Alright, now we will put the power input plug. This is AC, 120 or 220 volts. This is the DC output, so you have to be very careful when you do this. Make sure the wires will not hit the fan. These fans need to spin freely. You don't want any wires hitting them. Alright, now we plug in these guys. We could have plugged these in after we put all the screws, but the reason I plugged these in first before putting the screws is that they come in between your screwdriver, it will be on your way. So I plugged them in so they are out of the way. This way I have access to all the screw holes in order to put back the screws. So let's see how many of those black screws we have here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 12 screws were holding the board, the motherboard. And that's what we need to put back. Let's get started with the screws. Let's zoom out a little bit so you can see what's going on here. I'm trying my best to give you the best shot camera wise, but at times it's very hard to do that. Okay. My clutch is number 2. I can use number 3, but no more than 3, because then I'll over tight the screws. No, 3 was too much. 2 is good. Let me see. Okay. Did I miss something here? No. Now I have to put the ones on here. There are a lot of screws. 12 screws, a lot of screws. I mean, that thing is not going anywhere with 12 screws. Now these screws, they have lock washers in them. Make sure that they don't fall apart, or make sure they don't come off. They have lock washer mechanism in them. Two more screws to go. Okay, so one more screw to go. Let's see, where did I miss a screw? Because I have one more screw left in my hand. There is the last one right here. Let me come this way so you can see. Right here is where the last screw goes. Okay, so now we will simply plug in all the wires. All these wires, we plug them in. Okay, so I kind of zoomed in because I wanted to show you right here how important it is to this guy right here, to put it correctly. Because if you don't, then it's not going to work. This is the USB port connector. So first we have to lift this up like that. Then we have to put the cable in from an angle, like curve the cable, like arc it, in order for it to go there. So I'm going to use a very fine pliers. There you go. Now it is in place. Now I'm going to have to lock it. And bingo, it's locked in place. Now of course I have to plug in this guy, which is very small. Next to it is this guy, and then we have this guy, and finally this plug. This is one of the most critical areas when you remove the board. Now we have to look to make sure we didn't forget any cable. We have to look, make sure all the cables are in. This is in, this is in, that, this, that. These are all in place. No cables are sticking out. These are tight in place. Everything looks good. Make sure nothing is loose. And we put the top cover again. We put the top cover. Oh, there's one thing loose right here. There is one thing loose right here. See this? This is loose right here. Very good, very good. Okay. Now we will put the top.
Someone is at the front door.
Okay, so now we put the final screws to put the top assembly back together. The same as last time, you don't tighten the screws until all are aligned correctly, because these plates must come out of these slots. That's why you need to kind of watch, make sure everything is aligned. Once you have 4 or 5 screws, then you can start tightening them. Alright, let's go to a different camera angle. Let's see. There. Now I'm tightening all the screws because everything is aligned now. Okay, everything seems to be good now. The most successful repair job is that when you take something apart, you have no screws left over and you have no screw placeholders. Basically, you have no screws left over and no screws missing. That's the best thing. And I don't have any screws left over and I don't have any screws missing. Now I'm going to put these guys back in place. By the way, these do not matter which goes where as long as they're slided in. And you close these. And voila, everything is done. Now obviously we have to fire it up, make sure if it still works. What good is a repair job that after the repair is complete, the unit, if it doesn't work, you know? So let me plug it in and make sure it works. Okay, so let's plug it in. And there it is. It seems to be working. I can see the ClearCom logo. And now we have to wait for all the secondary. It's booting right now. It's booting the software. Once this one is lit up, then we are all good to go. There you go. So now we are good to go. The unit is up and running and operational without having loose components inside. All right. Thank you for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe.